que ma vie te plaise à jamais. Que chaque jour je demeure à tes pieds pour t'offrir ma vie en sacrifice, comme un parfum de bonne odeur qui s'offre à chaque instant, chaque heure. Tant que tu donnes le chant, je te donne mes louanges, je promets à chaque instant de te chanter avec les anges. Tant qu'il y aura la vie dans ce corps mortel, je ne cesserai pas de t'adorer. Donc que tu donnes un chant, donne mes louanges, non, non, non,
Et à chaque instant
de te chanter avec,
de te chanter
de te chanter.
tant qu'il y aura la vie,
Tant qu'il y aura la vie,
je ne cesserai pas de t'adorer.
je dis, t'appartiens.
You are watching the True Word Television.
Hello, good evening. Today is Tuesday. We are back to our health chat. I'm Victoria, the co-host of Health Chat, and I have my guest today. He was here last week too. I'll let him to introduce himself.
Okay, my name is Olayinka Brimoh. I'm a financial planner and a mortgage broker based in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Okay, as we continue with our topic for last week, what are your choices either to buy a house or to rent? We had amazing discussion last week, and he walked us through about mortgage, how to get a mortgage and all that. But today we are just going to ask some few questions, and he's going to really show us how mortgages work if you want to either buy rental property, or you need to own a house, or maybe you are thinking of investment in real estate, all those kind of stuff in investing in real estate. Don't be afraid. You can send us any question that you feel that you need him to answer. or if not, you can contact us. If we don't have the time, we can definitely get back to you some other time. Thank you so much. My first question to my guests is, last week we talked about either to rent or to own a family property, right, to bring kids. Is it true that if you have a house, it's source of investment, and how? If you have a house, does it mean that you don't need to save for your kids? Then the kids, when they grow up, they can take that for their student loan or any other kind of needs they want financially? Maybe you can just...
That's too many questions in one, but I will try. When you have a real estate, it's a piece of investment. It's an investment in the sense that you buy an asset that appreciates with time. It's traditional that real estate is a very good edge against inflation. And what is inflation? Inflation, it's comparing the value of money from a period of time to another time, and showing how money gets eroded in value. Real estate, traditionally, it as an asset class, it can be classified as an hedge against inflation. So when you own a piece of real estate, you buy it for X amount of dollars today, you don't know how much it's going to appreciate so in value. But for real estate for real estate to be appreciating in value, there are so many conditions that has to be met. One of it is it has to be in good location. They say something in real estate. The best or the sole criteria of choosing where to buy is location. Location is so key, is so important in real estate. You could have a very big mansion in undesirable part of town, or in undesirable city, or in undesirable country, and it may not worth as much as a small house in a very good place. So location is so important in real estate. So whether a client choose to buy real estate or choose to buy any other form of investment or choose to save for their kids' education, I think it all depends on the condition of the client. No, there is no one direct answer for all these questions that you're asking me. So I think it's individual, but by and large, real estate as an asset class help you to hedge against inflation, and it's an asset class that do appreciate in value. When you say something appreciate in value, means the value of it increases over time.
Thank you, thank you. So which means that if you have a property, maybe in 20 years that will appreciate and you can get some cash back. Does that mean that you don't have to kind of save, just pump your money into the mortgage and finish it earlier than 25 years, or what is your take on that?
Well, again, like I said, it's individual specific. If you ask me as a financial planner, I would say that's not the right way to go. If you ask me, generally, because that is what we call diversification. You should never put your eggs in one basket. We know just in the recent past, in 2008, 2009, we know what happened to the price of real estate in the United States, how it went down so much in value. Anything can happen. So the farther we think real estate do appreciate in value doesn't mean that it's going to always appreciate in value. Some folks are so unfortunate. They buy real estate and they're having financial problems. Some of them are having so many structural problems, and some people may end up being worse off owning their house than not even owning their house. If you're unfortunate that you buy a property that's giving you considerable problem, I think you may be worse off than somebody that doesn't even have any property, because you may have to be paying mortgage and still be paying so much for repair that particular property. So it's difficult to say one specific answer to give you one specific answer for all these questions you ask. But individually, I think that real estate do appreciate in value, but it's not a slam dunk. It's not that written in stone that it must appreciate in value, but we know that it does appreciate in value. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Yeah, sometimes we say, oh, not necessarily in real estate, but sometimes also other kind of business, right? It's not best to put all your finances in one business. Just try to see, if I invest here, if I invest in house, whether somewhere, just make sure that you take precautions. Sometimes we say, oh yeah, I know my friend owned 10 houses. Maybe I should also, own 10 houses. I will go to the bank, remortgage, take the equity, and then buy. Boom, it's not gonna work that way. Always seek wisdom from people who are in real estate business, or people who are really doing well with real estate business. Just talk to them before you get into a big problems, because if you happen to buy maybe 5 houses and 4 of them or 3 of them are giving you issue, no tenants, in bad location and all that, that will cause you a lot of stress, whereby you have to pay 3 mortgages out from your pocket, and maybe you just work part-time or even and sometimes, a house is a house. Always there is something that breaks down in the house you have to fix, and that will stretch you financially. You know what? As new immigrants in this country, we just have to be careful where we invest our money, and also what works for you and how you feel about it too. It's not that you do something just because someone else is doing too. And then there is a question about what is the difference between a loan and a mortgage?
Oh, okay. Well, all mortgages are loan, basically, but not all loans are mortgages. So you have, we could have a mortgage loan, a student loan, a car loan, a line of credit loan, a credit card loan, different loan. A loan is an advancement that an institution or an individual make to another person or another institution for a period of time with a repayment plan and with an interest rate agreed on. That's what a loan is. But all mortgages basically are loan because they are repayable, and they are repayable over a period of time. But you cannot say all loans are mortgages. So mortgage is a type of loan. Does that answer your question? Mm-hmm. And mortgage is a secure loan, because broadly, loans can be classified into 2 broad categories: secure loan and unsecured loan. Unsecured loan are loans that you give out without any security. But mortgage is a secure loan because the house is a security against the loan. In case of default, the lender gets the house back. If you buy a car and you use a car loan, then the car, it could be repossessed if the person doesn't pay. So those are secure loan. Unsecured loan are like a line of credit that is not secured against anything, or even student loan, because you can't say student loan is secure because your certificate doesn't worth anything to the lender at the end.
All right. Another question is, I think we just want to know more about mortgage, right? Mortgage and loans. What is the difference between insecure mortgage and insecure?
Okay. So just talked about secure mortgage and unsecured mortgage, or insecure loan generally. So when you have a secured loan, you are having an asset that's secure, that's like a security against that loan. If you default, the asset gets to be seized. Because of that, because there is a security on the loan, most time you pay less interest for those kind of loan than loans that are not secure. A not secure loan, for example, common one is line of credit. Almost everybody in Canada have a credit card and have line of credit. All credit cards are basically line of credit. That's what they have. and they are mostly unsecure. Because they are not secure against anything, their interest rate is usually higher than the interest rate on, say, a mortgage, because of the security that the mortgage comes with.
Okay, so this brings us to a question like, if I have a mortgage, like 5 years, maybe I finished that term for 5 years, and I need some money, instead of taking unsecured loan, is it possible to take a loan that is attached to my mortgage?
Absolutely.
Is it the
Advantage.
interest rate, are they going to be the same or different?
Well, the interest rate on what we call home line of equity. So, home line of equity is a line of credit, but because it's being secure by the property, by mortgage, the interest rate on most HELOCs are considerably lower. If you have a line of credit, I'm talking about a general line of credit, and the interest rate could be like 8%, 9% in today's world. It could be higher, it could be 10, it could be 12 in today's world. It could be 15, it could be 24, it could be 28. The interest rate could be anything, depending on what the lender view, or how the lender view the risk of the loan. But with HELOCs, it could be as low as 2.45, which is the prime, because it's been secure by that asset. So if you don't pay, they have something they can take without any further delay, that they can liquidate and get their money out. But if it has no security on it, it takes forever, and in some situation, the lender may not be able to collect. So that's like a loss, which has to be spread over other lenders in future, unfortunately.
So you say it's 2.5, which is even lower
2.45.
2.45, which is even lower than the credit card, even the mortgage that we pay. Is there any hidden interest rate, or just that prime?
No. On the HELOCs, there will be no hidden fee. Actually, they allow you to pay just only the interest for as long as you. So as long as you pay the interest, the lenders are fine with that. But I have to caution people, because the growing loan type in Canada right now is the HELOCs. So many people are just they're using their house as a ATM, so to say, because when you taking loan against your equity in the house, it's like you are using your house as an ATM. You're using your left hand to pay your mortgage and using your right hand to take the money back through line of credit. I think people should have reason of needing the money, not to fund their lifestyle, but it should be maybe to create more investment opportunity or more advancement. Let's say sending kids to school instead of them taking a student loan, buying a secondary home. But it shouldn't be used for something like buying a boat or going on a trip or for a party. It shouldn't be used for that, in my own opinion.
Nice. So with the loan that is attached to your mortgage, right? HELOCs or HELOCs?
HELOCs.
Do they also look at your credit card history, or they don't?
Well, for most part, each lender will look at your credit scores. And again, they will look at the value of the underlying assets. So there's a regulation on HELOCs right now that the lender can lend you more than 80% of the value of your home. So for instance, if the appraised value of your house come in at 500,000, the maximum you can get on HELOCs on that house will be 400,000. So if you are already owing, let's say, 260,000 on that house, then minus the 400,000 maximum that you qualify for, that means you can only get 160,000 as line of credit against that property. And so anytime you sell that property, that equity, that line of credit will become due for payment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there is a question to you. Is rental properties are taxable or non-taxable?
Well, rental income is considered taxable income. So when you have a rental income, let's use an example to make it more interesting. So you have a property you rent out for $1,000 a month. So that's $12,000 a year. Okay, that's the income. You will not pay tax on the whole 12,000, but the deductible expenses allowed are as follows: property tax. That's what you pay to the city where the house is. It is. Then the interest you pay on the mortgage. If you have any mortgage on the property, the interest you pay on the mortgage are tax deductible. The maintenance costs, not capital asset, but maintenance costs like plumbing leak, electrical, things like that. Those are deductible as well. If you have if you have maybe expense that you pay, maybe it's a condo, is deductible. The condo fee is deductible as well. If you have maybe a property manager that look after your property for you, then the money that you pay the property manager is deductible against the rent as well. Those are considered deductible expenses. If the house is vacant and you have to rent it and you have to pay utilities like water, electricity, the bills are deductible as well. So those are deductible against your income. So let's say all your deductions comes in at $10,000 and you have income of $12,000. That means $2,000 is income. For that year, for that tax year, that $2,000 will get added to your income for that year for tax purposes. And it will be taxed at your marginal rate.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, for example, if you're a property manager, you have 2 properties or 3 properties, right? And then you are the one collecting your rent every month. Also, like the house that you live in, you use as an office space. Will the government also be able to kind of do some deductible from the main house you live in or residential?
Oh yeah. Well, so it depends on your situation. If you use your house to earn income, so you use a certain portion of your house as an office space, or you use it as storage, but you have to meet certain conditions that clients have to come into the house, things like that. So you could deduct a portion of your expense in the house for tax purposes. So things that you can deduct when it comes to that, again, is basically the same. Property tax, line of credit, property tax, interest paid on the mortgage, maintenance, utilities in this case, because you may have to pay cable, you have to pay water and electricity in your house. There are 2 ways of deductions of this. One of them is to use the square footage. So if my house is, say, let's pick a figure, let's pick 1,200 square footage, and I have an office space in the house that is about 300 square footage. That means I'm using 25% of my house for office. So 25% of my property tax and all those things that I pay on the house can be deductible. Or we could use number of rooms. So let's say I live in a house that has 3 bedrooms and I use 1 bedroom as an office, or I use 2 bedrooms as an office. I can claim 6.67% if I use 2 bedrooms out of the 3 bedroom as an office. If I use 1, I can claim 33.3%, depending on your situation. I think people look at which one works best for them.
Okay, but like, is there any, like, will the government come and send someone to come and see your office or something like that? Because, you know, this world is messed up, right? That
question, it's difficult to answer. Well, the only thing I will say to you is that it's almost in Canada, our taxation works as a self-reporting thing. So you are the one who report to the government how much you make, how much you spend. The only time is if they have their own parameter. They have things that they look out for in your tax filing. If they have room to doubt that either you understate your income or you overstate your expenses, they can audit you. Or sometimes, generally, CRA do pick at random some taxes to be audited, and you could be part of those. But I don't really think anybody will come knock on your door and say, hey, how many rooms are you using there for your office? How many rooms are you using for living? I don't think that's practicable. But except that person is audited.
All right, that sounds good. Then if you buy many properties, then you can also get some, deduction from your, from your home interest rate, from your residential home, your cable, your electricity, water, all those things. So I think it's kind of a good business. Not so?
Well, it depends on your situation. I said, okay, look, if you have if you have money coming in, and you spend money to make money to come in, I don't think the tax man is going to be mad at you, because you actually go pay tax in the end. You go be making more money than you spend anyway. But in a situation that you're just looking for tax break, because so many people, especially immigrants, get into so many business nowadays, and the purpose of why they get into those businesses in their mind is usually to avoid paying so much taxes. I use so much taxes because that's the language they use. But unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. If you have a business and the first year you don't make money, you have expense, you may get away with it. Second year, third year, from the fourth, fifth year, sixth year, it becomes so dire for you to convince somebody that you will keep doing a business and you keep losing money. It doesn't make sense. If I do any business first for about 2-3 years and I don't make any money, I think common sense will dictate that that is not the way to do it. I should quit, and most people will quit. But in a situation that somebody continue to do the same business for like 6-7 years and they keep making losses, they open themselves up for a big audit.
Okay. Yeah, I know one time I was audited. It's not fun. To be honest, to be audited, it's not fun. You have to bring like more than 20 proofs, letters, sometimes even from the lawyer, from school and everything. I think when you run small businesses in this country, just be loyal, just be loyal and think, oh, okay, I'm doing this because I just don't want to get into trouble. I'm the living example. Honestly, they even asked some documents way back in 2016 where I don't even have them. But good thing, because I'm not a hoarder, but I put all my papers together. I was able to pull some of the bills that I kept long time. That saved me. Otherwise, I was going to pay a big chunk to the government. As immigrants, if you don't understand anything, not only immigrants, for those who are watching, in this world, God will give us, let me say, our specialty may be in the medical field, maybe in real estate, financial, and everything. Do not just learn everything for sake of learning. You may learn it, but you may not be an expert to it. But just seek an advice from people who are expert. They will help you, and it will avoid a lot of mistakes and a lot of paying the government back, of which sometimes, even when you own government's money or income tax or whatever, something like that, they will give you time period to pay it quickly. If you cannot pay, they'll say, you know what, take loan, take your credit card, pay with your credit card or take loan, which is really ridiculous. You are struggling here, you're going to get credit card which has a higher interest that will put you on stress. What is the outcome of stress? Because this is health chat, whatever we talk about here is we reflect back to our health. We want to be healthy, we want to be active, we want to be mentally well, so that we can function. You know
why people ask people to take loan to pay the government off? If you hold government money up to the deadline given, past the deadline given, on the deadline given, they impose 5%.
Ooh.
Yes. So if you own 10,000, that from that day, 5%. Every month from then, it's 1.5%. So technically, 18% a year. The first year, technically, they're charging you about 21.5%, technically, the first year of owing them money. And it accrues and it compounded monthly, and it just goes on and on and on. So taking a loan, pay them off, may be better, because it's not something that you can get away with. You have to pay it, except you can prove that you don't owe that money.
Wow, I didn't know that their interest rate is so high.
Same with the city on property tax.
Wow.
So it's good to know.
Well, yeah, for example, for the city, sometimes our property tax are really higher. More especially like those people who pay not on tips, they pay like the chunky, maybe 5,000, 6,000. You may not have that money. And if you do it, I know some people, like the city comes after them. You don't pay it, we are going to take your house.
Correct.
Right? So you just don't have to be in that situation. If you know for sure you want to do real estate business, or even you want to own a residential or family house, just make sure you do the right thing. Seek advice from people who own houses. Sometimes people can be mean to you, they will not tell you exactly what the right thing to do. But
if they are not professionals. If they are professional, they will tell you what to do.
yeah, so always seek advice. Even with our rent, if we don't pay our rent, you are most likely going to be evicted from your
Correct.
home. It just goes both ways. It's just all about financial discipline and how you want to live your life. I personally, I tell myself every day, I'm not rich, I'm struggling, I'm a mom, right? One thing I just want people know is I don't want to get into a problem with Canadian CRN, because this is going to make me into trouble. I always behave myself. Not only Revenue Canada, even with my credit card. I make sure I behave myself with credit card. Even with my loans, I just make sure I behave myself. I say to myself, I may not have all the best, but I want to pay my loan on time. If you know for sure you cannot pay your loans or your mortgage on time, please call your financial advisor. Say, you know what, I'm going through this and this. Probably they will be able to give you a direction how to go about it. Sometimes it's good to swallow your pride than just, get into a big problem. Another question is, what is refinancing?
When people take out a mortgage, usually mortgage is amortized for X amount of years, usually 25 years. So we still have some 30 years mortgages, but we have some people that don't want to go 25 years ago, 20 years ago, 15, they go 10. It doesn't matter, but it's amortized over a longer period of time. There is what we call term. Term is when the mortgage is up for renegotiation. Refinancing basically means you taking money out of your equity. You don't want to have ELOCs, but you just want to add that money to your mortgage. So for instance, I take out a mortgage, it's 400,000. I have left on the mortgage 200,000, and I needed 150,000. I can approach my financial institution and I say, okay, my house worth 400,000. So I'm basically remortgaging my house by putting more equity out of the house. So this house worth 400,000. Can I take out additional 150,000 that I needed as mortgage? They say yes. So we're refinancing. That means I'm breaking the whole term that I'm on, and I'm going on a new term. And instead of my principal being 200,000, is now 350,000.
Do you think it's a good thing to do?
Well, it's not a bad thing to do, and it's not a good thing to do. In other words, it depends on each on the person's specifics. So if you take out money, like I said earlier, to fund lifestyle, like to buy a boat, to travel, to throw a lousy party, to buy expensive clothes, expensive shoes, and what have you, to keep up with the Joneses, I think is unreasonable. Okay, that's my own opinion. Somebody else's opinion could be different. Somebody else's opinion could be, oh, you know what, we have one life, so let's enjoy it. So that's that person's perspective. But my own perspective is the fact that it should only be done if you have investment opportunity. You're trying to use it to multiply your earning or to make more money somewhere. That's the only time it could be reasonable, because it's a risk. If you have a loan of 200,000, the mortgage amount you be paying monthly will be less than somebody who has a loan of 350,000. So even there, it is stress. It could lead to, and again, for most financial institutions, you need to qualify. You need to have certain credit scores in order to be able to qualify for a refinance. You need to have a job. You need to have the income before they give you the additional loan.
Okay, yeah, it's time. We're going to take a little bit break and we'll be back. Please don't go away. And yeah, if you have any questions, please, you can send us and then we can answer for you. Thank you and hang in there.
Fais de moi un vase pour ta gloire et que ma vie te plaise à jamais. Que chaque jour je demeure à tes pieds pour t'offrir ma vie en sacrifice, comme un parfum de bonne odeur qui s'offre à chaque instant, chaque tant que tu donnes le chant, je te donne mes louanges, je promets à chaque instant de te chanter avec les anges, tant qu'il y aura la vie dans ce corps mortel. Je ne cesserai pas de t'adorer, donc que tu donnes un chant, donne mes louanges, non, non, non,
À chaque instant,
de te chanter
avec
de te chanter,
tant qu'il y aura la vie.
tant qu'il y aura la vie.
We're back. About the topic whether to rent or to own a home. My question is, what is the difference between conventional and unconventional mortgage?
Well, conventional mortgage is a mortgage where the borrower pays 20% and above. So those kind of mortgages, they don't need to have any default insurance, any government kind of backing or any assurance from any insurance company that, okay, in case we cannot pay, if the borrower cannot pay, that the insurance company will pay the lender on their behalf. So if, for instance, as it stands now, if anybody pays less than 20% down payment, they have to buy what we call a default insurance. The largest insurer of default insurance in Canada is still the Canada Housing and Mortgage Corporation, the CMAC. But we still have the Canada Guarantee, we have the Genworth, or is it Tangent also there now? So we still have other companies that are in that space with the CMAC. And those type of mortgages are mortgages that are less than 20%. So we call them unconventional. The conventional or the regular mortgage, the traditional mortgage, is a conventional mortgage whereby you have 20% down payment, you give it to the bank as a down payment, and they lend you the rest, 80%.
Nice. So then with conventional, you don't have to put security?
You don't need any default insurance.
Okay.
No default insurance, because you pay 20%. So you do not have to pay any premium for the default insurance, because there is no need of it.
Okay. What about portable insurance? Or what about portable mortgage? What does it mean?
We're talking about mortgage, not insurance. Okay.
No, portable mortgage, sorry.
So when they say mortgage is portable, it means that I can sell, I have a mortgage on a I mortgage a property. Okay, and in few years down the line, let's say my situation, circumstance change, including maybe I have to relocate to Calgary or relocate to Vancouver or relocate to Halifax, and I have a very gorgeous mortgage. You know, in just a few weeks ago, we are getting some fantastic rates. 1.49 for 4 years, 1.69. They are fantastic rates. They are the kind of rate that are unheard of in the past. So let's say somebody has that kind of mortgage that they're paying like say 1.39 even, and they after 2 years they have to sell their home in Winnipeg, and they have to move to Halifax or to New Brunswick or wherever. If they have a portable mortgage feature on their mortgage, that means they can sell the house and still transfer their mortgage to the house in another jurisdiction, or even to another house. It could be in Winnipeg, it could be in any place as well. But you can transfer the mortgage from one property to another. That's called portable mortgage. Not all mortgages are portable, but most chunk of our mortgages are portable.
So how does that work?
That's what I just explained, Victoria. So I just explained it that if you have a mortgage on a particular property and you have need to sell that property, okay, if the mortgage is not portable, that means the mortgage will be discharged with the sales. But if the mortgage is portable, the option is yours to transfer that mortgage on that property to another property of your choice. Usually they give you like 3 months from this time you sell before that happens. That will close on you.
Oh, okay. So, for example, if you have 200,000 on that portable and you're moving to 400,000 home, so how is that going to work?
Okay, most institutions, just you know, we allow you to transfer your mortgage if it's portable on a house, like when you are buying a higher value property, for sure, because then you get more interest and more debt, and that's what the lenders want. But having said that, we're talking about, okay, you have a property in Winnipeg you just bought this year, and you get a very good rate, a very gorgeous rate, and you're having, let's say, 250,000 left on the property, and in year 2 from now, okay, you decide to move to another place. It could be within Winnipeg, it could be anywhere within Canada. You can sell that house and transfer that mortgage out 1.39 that you have to the other. And let's say in 2 years' time, interest rate has gone up. Interest rate is now 5%. You can transfer that mortgage that you have to another property. Instead of going to take another mortgage for 5%, you can just transfer 1.39. That's what they call portable.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I think I wasn't explaining it.
Oh, yeah. So like, if that portable mortgage is done, then you can just get a normal.
Yeah, at that time when it's have to renew, you have to get whatever that is available in the market anyway. You have no option at that time.
I hear a lot of people say, you know, it's best to pay your mortgage off. Pay your mortgage off. What are the advantage and disadvantage of paying your mortgage off?
Mortgage is a loan. So if you owe somebody money and you are a honorable person, the normal thing to do is to pay your loan. You have to pay your debt. You have to pay your bills. So you get a mortgage. Before you get a mortgage, you have to go through some test. So they check your credit. They be sure they get sure that you work, you have a job, that they know your capacity to pay. They find those things out and they extend a mortgage to you. And if you have a mortgage, usually the largest the largest single loan repayment people make are mortgages. So when you have mortgage on your neck and you are approaching this time in your life that income is dwindling, maybe due to old age or due to job loss, and it could cause a lot of stress. So sometimes people think, well, if you pay off your mortgage, you lower your stress. So that's why it's always advisable sometimes for people to pay off their mortgage, if they can.
Okay. Yeah, it's sometimes good to pay. Not, it's good to pay your mortgage off, but I find it's a little bit challenging too, because one time I wanted some money. I didn't have any savings, right? I went to the bank and I said, okay, I need to take some loan, or a mortgage, whatever, equity. They gave me that money, but again, it took a longer time for me to pay. So that is also another stress for me. So this come back to us that, each time you take your equity, make sure you use it in a right way. Just this is me. Since that time when I took the equity, I just said, you know what, on this equity I'm going to pay interest. Why am I paying double interest? Isn't it not better to save? Then I keep paying my mortgage just that time, then I have my savings so that I don't go and take my equity. So it's so much to learn. In this Canada, it's so much to learn about houses, business, health, and all that. Like, we just have to be cautious with everything we do. Some people say, yeah, I will find it on my own, I will do it. It requires us to talk to people who are really good at mortgage and financial institution, because it helps to reduce our stress level, because we really don't want to stress ourselves. We live once and we want to live healthy until the time God calls you to, that's all I can really add on what I can say. And people say, oh, we are Christians, we are going to die anyway. Why do we have to accumulate all this wealth to us, right? I was watching this Kenyan guy, he's called George Washuri. He owned roughly 300,000 property. For me, I'm not trying to say anything negative. I'm just trying to encourage all of us, right, to do the right thing. He also started off with loans, but he used his mind wisely to acquire loan. But what I admire most in this guy is, through his property real estate business, he employed almost 3,000 youth who are out of job, and even with this COVID, he's giving out he's helping out elderly. Like he started non-charitable organization helping kids, paying school fees for kids, tuition, universities, and all those things. I think as Christians, we just have to show the world that if I own real estate, if I'm rich, I can be able to help other people, to give back to the community. Sometimes it's good. People say, oh, as Christian, I don't need to be too much rich. Maybe my richness will drive me away from God. But I find it's really interesting. Some of the rich people who own real estate, they are the ones that giving back to our community. Like Salon Mission, I notice Shendiko, Shendiko, you go every corner, you see Shendiko, and also help Salon Mission. So, as Christian or as immigrant, we have the same potential with people who are born here, who live here, who are really Canadian. We have that opportunity, because if we do the right thing, we can be able to help our people back home. We'll be able to even employ people who don't have work.
So the Bible says money is the root of our evil. But most people sometimes quote the scripture as, availability of money is the root of our evil. It could actually mean lack of money is the root of our evil as well. But basically, some of the people that love money most are actually not the rich people. Some rich people don't love money so much. They see themselves as custodian of the resources, but not that they go die for money. Some people can die for $1, for a cent. Some people can lose $1 million. You don't even need to lose anything.
you know. And and also I just want to add on what he said, you know, and what he said, you know, to be honest, when you own real estate, whether 2 houses, whether 1 house or 3 houses, it's the best thing to do. It's the best business. Why? Sometimes can be stressful when you don't have renters. Sometimes can be stressful when something breaks in the house. But you know, I find it's the smartest thing to do. More especially when you are young, you don't have time. It's really good because the renter pays you your money, write for you a check for the whole year. You don't get to see even the renter unless something happens. For me as a mother, you know, I always pray that God, you know, if my kids grow up to be teenagers and all that, what I can tell them is, you know, do the right thing with your money. Start investing in property, you know, when you are young, because you become a manager of yourself. You don't need other stresses from your employers, or you know, you have to take vacation and all that. But it's a good thing usually to not really real estate, but other business. Like young people, I'm encouraging young people out there who have the brain for business. It's just a cool thing. I'm not a businesswoman, but I just love reading people's stories about businesses. You know, they become bosses. They have this big heart to help communities and all that. So, as we are coming to the end of our discussion, you know, one thing that I can ask my guests to conclude with, as a mortgage breaker, as a financial planner, what will you tell our audience about all this?
Well,
is it a good thing to be a mortgage breaker, a broker, or is it a good thing to be a financial planner?
Well, if it's your calling, it's a good thing. I won't have it any other way, personally. But having said that, how you manage your resources, it's totally up to you, because you are the custodian of your resources. You've been given the choice to choose between the right and the evil. So if you decide to squander your resources, it's up to you. And if you decide to save your resources for rainy day, that's totally up to you as well. But it's always good to keep something for tomorrow. We all know today, yesterday we don't know how today is going to look like. But with the benefit of hindsight, we all know the way today has played. The part of the day that is gone already, we know the way it has played. And by tomorrow, we have a full picture of how today has gone. But we don't know tomorrow. We don't know the future. So things change. There are so many twists and corners in life. So when you are on a high road, think about putting something away for tomorrow. I think it's always a bad idea for people to want to live on all their income, or want to live on or even more their income. It's always a good idea to put yourself on a budget. When you have a budget from the time you set out in life, life becomes easy. Try to live within your means, or that's what people say. But in today's world, I think it's always good to try to live below your means. So you have a means to buy a property for 400,000. You don't have to buy 400,000 worth of property. The fact that a mortgage broker like me or even me tell you, oh, you qualify for 400,000, it doesn't mean that you should spend the whole 400,000 on acquiring the property. You may choose to buy something for 225 or 275 and live in it for a while and build up equity, and in the near future you could decide to move up. That is the way to go. That's what I think is the right thing to do. But so the fact that somebody tell you you qualify for X amount of money, it doesn't mean that you should spend that amount of money. If you make income or you have a raise at work, it doesn't mean that you have to adjust your lifestyle to reflect that raise or to reflect that new income source that you just make. If you live that way, you living for today. And if you have to live for today, if life change, let's say you lose your job, let's say you lose your income source, or you have health issue or anything, it may be difficult to actually keep up living, and that cause stress. Part of the problem that most people have in life nowadays is financial mismanagement. It's one of the leading causes of divorce, one of the leading causes of even death in some cases, because people are stressed out due to the way they mismanage their resources. I often say this to people: see credit card the way you see cancer. Honestly, it's not because they both start with C, but credit card debt and cancer, they have the same effect on your long-term health. Because if you always have credit card debt, there is no way you can be balanced financially. The same way, if you have cancer growing in your body, you can't be balanced physically. And so it affects your well-being, both physical and emotional well-being, if you are in debt. So for younger people that are starting out, or for new immigrants that are just coming to Canada, please, when they give you credit card, don't see it as free money. See it as, if I don't have this money, I'm not spending it. If I cannot pay it back at the end of the month, please don't spend it. Don't pay minimum balance. You need to pay off all that money that you use. And at the same time, for young people, have a standard budget as well. Have a budget. This is my income. This is my expenses. This is what I'm making. This is what I'm spending. If you're not making money, don't spend that money. That means you are living above your means. That means you are becoming, let me say it in a bad way. That means you are greedy. That means you are greedy. Because that means you're stealing in a way. Because when you are greedy or you are stealing, that means you are living a life that is not meant for you. But if you live below your means or you live within your means, you are actually living as a Christian. A Christian is supposed to be content. A Christian is supposed to be satisfied with what they have and where they have. And that way, it makes life easy. And today, whatever you save, it multiplies as time goes on. People talk about debt often, and they see debt as a bad thing. But you know what kills people when they hold money? It's compound interest. It's the interest, is the interest they have to pay on those debts. It's not the debt itself. If I owe somebody $10,000 and you give me donkey years to pay that $10,000, even if I pay $50 a month, at a point I'm going to pay it off. But by the time you had interest to it, a lot of time I may be indebted forever because of the interest. The same way, if you are an investor, that $10,000 can grow to multi-million assets if it's well invested. So please, let's use those compound interest. Let's use interest in our favor, not in disfavor. There's nothing wrong in being wealthy. Honestly, there's nothing wrong in being rich. There's nothing wrong in having something to leave behind for future generation, even for causes. For things, people that you don't know. People are leaving assets, they are leaving properties for churches, they're living for charity. As black people, I think our time has come to rise up and live a normal life. And just forget about sleeping all over town, making kids all over the place, or squandering money, having party, trying to impress people with your big car, impress people with big party, or with your Gucci wallet, or your new tongues. We don't need that anymore. What we need is to impress ourselves, our personal self, with good living. And part of good living is to be responsible financially. That's what I was saying.
Wow. Well, you said it all, and it's our time. Please, if you have any questions about mortgage or financial issues, you can just reach unto us, and then we can be able to help you with that.
Can I add one more thing?
Sure.
Okay. I'm sorry. Well, like Victoria said, anytime you have questions, please, you could reach out to Victoria or you could reach out to myself. We'll be glad to help. But I need to say something. We all, as black people on the street, complain about racism. Honestly, racism is nothing more than economic in nature. Honestly. You could believe it or not, but it's so much economic. If we as black people have jobs, if we as black people have resources that we can create our own economy ourselves, and we relate and interact with ourselves in a very good and respectable manner, honestly, we discover tomorrow that racism will vanish away. There were times in this country that Chinese people were being used to construct, they use them to construct railways. Chinese people, Indians, every kind that is not white were despised the way we've been despised today. But not anymore. Because now you see big projects all over town being owned by these Asians. What are we doing as black people? We're still sitting down in our kitchen table having pity parties? We don't need that anymore. It's time for us to rise up. Not only say we believe the scripture with our mouth, but we need to live it with our mind and hold ourselves accountable. Hold ourselves, accountable to ourselves. Know what you're doing. You are a steward of your resources. God has blessed you today. Don't use it to oppress another person. Use that resources to create multiple sources of income, because you don't know what happened tomorrow. You may not have that much again, and then you have something to live on and live your life in a good way. Let's tackle racism. Let's work together. When you want to do business, please look for your black brother and sister that are in that field. They can help you. Don't take them as your enemy. Take them as your confidant, as your friend. They are professionals. They can help you. They have the resources that they will help you with. Don't run away from them. The fact that you think, well, if I patronize him or her, this person is going to make money from this business, and I don't want him to be rich or he to be richer. Honestly, we will all be where we want to be, depending on the choices that we make. Income sometimes is a factor, but it's not the only factor that determines where people go. It determines where people go depend on how they program themselves.
Awesome. That's really good. Yeah, you know, it's time for us to rise up so that even when we grow old, our kids will be able to stand up. This company was started by my mom. This house was owned by my mom, and I'm continuing to carry her legacy, you know. Then from there, the generation will continue, and also the business will continue to grow. Before you know it, you know, black people will start employing black people in their companies. And that is what we have seen with the Indians. We have seen with the Chinese, right? So this is the time we have to stand up so that our kids will have a better life. Well, as we come to the end of our show, we just want to thank you so much for watching our show. And don't be afraid to contact us if you have any questions. Yeah. Thank you so much, and see you next Tuesday. Bye.
Bye.
Biangama ya bana na Nzambe, sans définition ni condition. Merci Seigneur, merci. Okati ya butunga na yoki mongongo ekobenga ngai. Nakekoto na Eli abengite. Nalali lisusu na yoki mongongo ekobenga ngai. Nakekoto na Eli abengite. Nalali makasi na yoki lisusu mongongo ekobenga ngai. Nakekoto na Elia ayanolie. Wana soki oyoki lisusu mongongo ekobenga yo. Ndima boye lobanga mosali na yo nakoyoka
Nana yebaki
yango te o Jésus Nzambe na ngai ye soyo ozali ye bolamu na yo na bomoi na ngai esengo na yo ekimia na ngai na kati ya boloko kuna nazalaki otindi bangelu mpo babimisa ngai moyibi na ekulusu azwaki ngolu lote na Sodome mpe azwaki ngolu bisika ya kokufa ngai nazalaki okangoli ngai nabengami mosali na yo vina ngai moto akakola te mpo nayebi ye yozali na ngai héritage akotikela fami nde Yesu kolo na ngai ye mwana na Nzambe o Yawe nayebaki yango te o Yesu Nzambe na ngai ye soyo ozali ye o Yawe
You are watching The True World